Welcome to the Warframe Weapon Encyclopedia, where today we're checking out the Opticor. You can get the blueprint for the Opticor from the Energy Lab in your dojo, and to build it you're gonna have to put in 30,000 credits, 5 Fieldron, 20 Gallium, 600 Cryotic and a fully built Forma. The Opticor is a Master Rank 14 laser cannon that does primarily puncture damage with its laser, which then causes a 6-meter explosion that does pure magnetic damage. It comes with a decent enough 20% crit chance, an above average 2.5 times crit multiplier and a solid 20% status chance. And it also sports a 5-round magazine with a 2-second reload and a very long 2-second charge up time. To be fair though, a fully charged shot will do double damage with both the laser and the magnetic explosion. Now, two things that are worth mentioning about the Opticor are that, number one, the beam is fairly thick, and when you combine that with the 1 meter of innate punch through, as well as the magnetic explosion, it makes the weapon fairly decent at dealing with groups of enemies. And number two, unlike with many other charge-based weapons, you cannot hold charge with the Opticor. It fires as soon as it's fully charged, unless it bugs out, which sometimes happens, and in that case, it doesn't even show the charge animation on the crosshair. Now, when it comes to the build on the Opticor, you kind of have two options here. You can either go with a relatively basic build for the Star Chart, or you can go with sort of a high-end setup for Steel Path. The basic Star Chart setup relies on upfront damage alone, so we have Serration for damage, Split Chamber for multi-shot, Crit Delay and Vital Sense for crit, then Primed Cryo Rounds and Infected Clip for vital damage, and we top it off with Primed Shred and Vile Acceleration for fire rate. This also provides a nice chunk of extra punch through. This feels fantastic on the Star Chart, and it will one-shot most enemies from all the factions because we have a very nice distribution of damage. We have Puncture for the armored guys, Vital for the fleshier guys, and Magnetic from the explosion for shielded guys. The main downside here is that it doesn't scale terribly well, and if you want to take the weapon to Steel Path and do some high level content, you're gonna have to switch to a Hunter Munitions build. And that is a far more serious build with a lot more investment. So only do this if you really like the Opticor. So we have Primary Merciless for damage, so we don't have to run Serration. Then we have Primed Shred and Vile Acceleration for fire rate, Galvanized Chamber and Scope for multi-shot and crit. Then either a Crit Riven or Crit Delay for crit chance, Vital Sense for crit damage, then Hunter Munitions for slash procs, and either Hammer Shot, which is going to give you adequate damage against all the factions, or a faction mode, which is going to give you superior damage against one faction. Now, the difference in power here is quite vast. This build performs better in Steel Path than the other build performs on the Star Chart. This is capable of producing slash procs that tick for hundreds of thousands of damage. I really don't want to overhype the Opticor though, so before you go running off to the Energy Lab, sit down and listen. The Opticor is a slow, clumsy and fairly expensive weapon that requires a lot of investment. So while I absolutely love it, I would only recommend it to people who think it looks cool and are willing to invest into it. Okay? And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.